When we were little, we were told lovely stories about marriage. We all wanted to get married at some point. It was sold to us as a beautiful accomplishment that everyone has to tick off their boxes, as a happy moment for both the men and the women. Maybe that was the case back then, but the reality of marriage for the men nowadays is far from beautiful, or even an accomplishment. The rate of divorce in the United States varies between 40% to 50%, which means at least 40% of people happily tying the nuptial knot ends up separating. The aftermath of these divorces for men is not the same as for women. In fact, I've seen divorce break many strong men and they never recovered.
What was the most pain you've been in that wasn't physical?
Heartbreak. In a relationship, it's hard. And, when I divorced from my wife, that was a loss. I thought, my life is ruined because I tried to build something and then just collapsed. But after that, I felt alive. I said, okay, I break up. I'm still alive. So now I know I can love again.
How do you fix a broken heart?
With time. I think it's with time. And then, you have to find yourself. And then you'll be able to love somebody else. Love myself, yeah.
You have to love yourself first before you can love somebody else.
Exactly, yeah.
How'd you first stand up on the streets?
A broken marriage.
You're out here homeless. Tell me about it.
Well, I went through a bad divorce.
The suicide rate in men is literally close to 10 times higher than it is in women going through divorces.
And you need some support, because I know going through this, having just gone through 2-3 years of this hell, it is hard, man. You're isolated.
I was married a few years back, and everything was going really well. The relationship was awesome, and then I ended up losing my job. Couldn't get her the things that she wanted or take her out as much as we did before. It eventually got to a point where she was distancing herself from me and kind of pushed away from the relationship and ended up in a divorce.
This is really heartbreaking. When other men read and hear about cases like this, they prefer to avoid being in a situation like this. I once had a conversation with an old buddy of mine who had been in a relationship with his girl for 6 years. So we were just sitting and talking about old times that fateful evening when I jokingly asked him when he was finally going to put a ring on his girl's finger. He took a brief pause and replied, "I don't think that's ever going to happen. I just don't think I'm ever going to marry. I have a well-paying job. I'm also saving a lot while still being comfortable. A beautiful house, a woman who lives with me already, and life is pretty good right now. Why would I make a decision that could destroy everything I've built and achieved so far when my woman suddenly feels like leaving?" He continued. And honestly, I completely understood him. When men marry, they marry to settle down, to have children with a woman they love, and to build a home. The same can't be said for the women anymore, as there is a high rise in the wave of some women who marry so that they can divorce years after and live off of the alimony. Some have kids with different men so that they can receive child support money from different people and use it for themselves. They turned separation and divorce into a business.
A lot of people got something to say about the fact that I got 6 kids with 6 different men. So I'm just gonna tell y'all why it is better to do it this way. If I had 6 kids with all the same dude, I get 34% of his income, which is only $680 a month. If I got 6 kids with 6 different dudes, I get 17% from each one of them, which is $340 a month from each one. $340 a month times 6 baby daddies is $2,040. So why don't you have 6 baby daddies?
This is as shameful as anything can get. She is all about the money she will make off of the unsuspecting fathers. She doesn't care about the kids either. This is the reality of what men are facing. The financial effect. In most relationships and marriages, the man tends to earn higher, and when divorce comes, and she does not just want to leave, she wants half of everything the man owns and built. Apart from the heavy fees that will be used to pay lawyers, get documents and all, the man still ends up being forced to pay alimony to the woman. Forget prenups. Nowadays, prenups get thrown out of court faster than I could change a shirt. Courts are generally biased to the women in divorce cases, and all it takes is for her lawyer to argue that she was coerced to sign it, or she was under duress, and boom. There goes half of everything you own, whether you got them before you even met her or not. So I perfectly understand when rich athletes like Cristiano Ronaldo refuse to marry despite having kids and being in a stale relationship. The emotional impact. When most people talk about the effects of divorce on men, they mostly speak on the financial effects. The emotional effects mostly get neglected because unlike women, men tend to withdraw, hide the pain and bottle up their feelings. Men going through divorce undergo a lot of emotional turmoil. They could be experiencing anger at one moment, sadness and depression the next. Along with regret, disappointment, denial, and loneliness, some also experience guilt. These intense feelings often take a toll on their mental health. Statistically, women are the initiator of 75% of divorces. This means they see it coming a lot further away and have the time to prepare mentally and emotionally, unlike their husbands. Many already have a new man somewhere, who they are dumping their husbands for. Identity crisis. Aside from the emotional and financial impacts, men also face an identity crisis. It is never easy for a man who has spent his entire life working hard to build a home and raise his kids to just lose it all overnight. The stress affects not only the mental health, but also the physical health of some men. Sleep disturbances, coping strategies like drinking problems, and other addiction could also suffice, and that is detrimental to one's health. Career disruptions. During separation, dealing with the process could affect a man's focus at work, frequently resulting in disruptions that can be both short-term or long-term. The process of dealing with legal proceedings, emotional turmoil, and potential changes in living arrangements makes it difficult to focus on work in the short run, but some problems of the aftermath of a divorce still linger in the long run. Life at work may return to normal after the initial disruptions, but the man's overall career trajectory might have also been disrupted. Career advancement opportunities might have been missed. The financial aspects of the divorce could also affect work, especially when the man has to change residence, resulting in the man getting to work late or completely changing career direction. If it was left to me, I'll happily tell you to go outside, find a woman you like, date her, marry her, have children, and live happily ever after. You see old couples out there still in love and all over each other, and you envy them. You see beautiful kids at parks and want a couple for yourself. But when you have to consider the reality of marriages in the world right now and how sideways things could go in a jiffy, you start rethinking these things. Consider this optimal solution. It might seem unorthodox, but avoiding legal marriages is advised. You adopt kids if you really want one. There are other a little bit expensive options like surrogacy, but when you consider not only the financial decline divorce brings, but the emotional turmoil and the rest, you see these options are great. Also, here's the advice for men going through a divorce, or who have already gone through a divorce. Focus on your emotional well-being by allowing yourself to grieve. Yes, it's okay to feel pained. Seek support from family, friends, or probably a therapist. Also, try to safeguard your assets. It is always better to try and find a way to settle out of court. Consult an experienced family law attorney. If there are kids involved, give top priority to co-parenting practices that will be flexible and comfortable enough for you. Also focus on personal growth by pursuing hobbies, further education, or career advancements to build a fulfilling life. Maintain a healthy diet, frequent exercise, and stress-relieving hobbies for both your physical and emotional well-being. If you're watching this and you have gone through divorce, you can tell us about it in the comments and drop advice for others that could be having a hard time dealing with divorce. That will be all for today on Latest Juice, guys. Before I forget, that old buddy of mine that I told you about, he and his girlfriend broke up some time ago. Imagine if they were already married. Do not forget to smash the like and subscribe buttons so you can get more engaging and enlightening contents like this. And also click on the notification bell to be the first to know when a new video drops. See you again soon. Cheers.